And you know how I talk about Melbourne? Like,
Yeah.
I make friends with all my baristas.
Yeah.
Like, but like here, they're not that as nice.
Maybe it depends where you go. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
I need to expand.
She should go out to Seatown.
Yeah,
What's Seatown?
Campbelltown, where
Campbelltown.
Becca's from.
Oh,
I was born there and
okay.
I grew up there.
Wait,
in
you were
Wakefield.
born there? That's
I was born in
crazy.
Campbelltown and I grew up in Claymore until I was 7
You
years
grew up
old.
in Claymore?
Yeah.
I didn't know the Maddie Law. Like, that's
yes.
crazy.
And then we moved
That's
to
insane. I didn't-
Eagavale, Kearns.
Wait, what the heck?
Yeah,
That's
my
crazy.
family still live in Boboing.
Are you
That's crazy.
related in any way? No.
Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah,
Where
nah,
did you grow
that's
up in
my cousin.
Campbelltown? That's my cousin.
No, I grew up in Lemire.
Lemire.
Yeah.
Okay. I lived in Minto. And also, like, I remember Escort Park Public School because I used to steal the teachers' cookies.
Welcome to First Things First. I'm Brooke Blurt and my pronouns are she and her.
I'm Maddie Mills. My pronouns are he and him. And before we get started, we'd like to acknowledge the custodians of the land on which we're recording. And today, for both of us, we're in studio. It's the Gadigal People of the Eora Nation.
Don't get used to it.
I am getting used to it and you need to stay, okay? Do you need a passport
Blah,
to go
blah,
to
blah.
Melbourne?
All right, let's get into it.
It's funny because this episode we have an incredible guest who was recently lived in Sydney and worked in Sydney, but has recently moved to Melbourne. So you mob are swapping places. Brooks moved to Sydney, and the wonderful Becca Hatch from. Tell us the postcode.
Hello, 2560.
2560,
Let's go.
baby.
Oh, you guys are twos. We're sixes back home.
Oh, well, let's welcome
Yeah.
the wonderful Becca Hatch.
Welcome, Dal.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me today.
Thanks for coming in. We're so excited. I mean, I feel like our paths have like crossed, but like not fully actually properly met.
Like
So-
sliding
Yeah, like
doors.
we've crossed, like
doors,
we've done
yes.
this podcast and like you just happen to be in Sydney and now I'm in Melbourne.
I would have been there in studio, and I'm sad I'm missing out, but it's actually so excited to have you here.
Yeah, well, it's nice to be
I
here.
think I last saw you perform. I think it was like one of the fashion shows in Melbourne.
Ooh,
and
oh,
like
yeah.
Oh, slay.
you're
Yeah.
wearing this fucking bomb ass outfit. Like I was like, I'm hoping she has that because I'm gonna borrow it. Like it was like these cargo kind of pants, and like
Yeah.
it was. Oh, your fashion
That-
is insane. I have
Thank
to
you.
say
That
I
was like
love
my
it.
favorite show I think I've played in like a long time. I was like, I really had to like channel this energy when I was coming out there. But yeah, that designer, her name is Corin, and she's like, yeah, she's a First Nation designer. She's actually really young. I think she's like in her 20s, and
God.
she's really cool. She makes like all her clothes from like recycled fabrics. So when I was
Wow.
like talking to her about it, she's like, yeah, you know, like I'd be like driving, I'd see this couch on the side of the road, and I'd be like, oh, that's really cool. And I'd like rip up all the fabric and like wash it and like turn it into this really crazy, like these pieces that were really sick. So
All right, council pickup.
yeah.
Oh, but black colours
No,
are so
it's sick.
sustainable. Like
100%,
we've
yeah.
been doing it for years, centuries.
Absolutely.
Like I feel like that gets so lost.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that it's being introduced into fashion and like mob get to like wear it and like showcase it because
Yeah.
it's not just like. Do you feel like this? Also, a lot of pressure to walk down a runway,
Ooh.
perform, sing, and also look good fucking
And
doing
dance.
it. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, girl, trifecta. Like I could not. We could
Yes.
never.
I mean, I did one runway like a couple of years ago, and I called my agent straight after, and I was like, never doing that again.
And he killed it. No, he did slay it, Becca Lee.
It's just a
Never
different
doing that
world.
again.
I literally called her. I was like, great, thanks for the money, but I don't want to do this ever again. Like, so tell us that moment. Obviously, a favorite, memory of yours in terms of your
Yeah.
performing. What was it about that energy that you channeled that made it so great?
I was like channeling some like inner little gay boy energy. You know what I mean? Like that's kind
Troye
of what
Sivan, no
yeah,
doubt.
it was definitely some Troye Sivan vibes. Like that's what
Yeah.
I had to go into mentally. No, but like I don't know, I guess a lot of performers would probably like relate when I say this. It's like when you go out and you give your 100%, like your all, and you're like giving so much energy and you see the people give back so much energy, it like gives you like an adrenaline rush, and it like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like, it's something so far away from like just being a normal person. It just feels like you're elevated, like you're somewhere else for like that kind of moment, and you create this like space where you're like, I'm able to share and people are receiving this, and there's so much love and joy and like happiness. Like I don't know how else to explain it, but like
is it hard to get there on every performance? Is it one of those things where it's like you will find it in pockets of your career where you're feeling like where everything has aligned? Yeah. It's not every day, right?
No, it's not every day. Like especially, oh man, if I could tell you the shows I've played, some of it I've been in the trenches. Yeah, like giving 100% and people just staring at you like this.
Character building. Yeah, just like character building.
100%, yeah, character building. And those moments really teach you, I guess, you kind of separate yourself and you're like, well, why do I do music? I don't do music to just be like, oh, for you guys to enjoy this. I do music for me and I do music for my mob. And, you know, really makes you like come into this with like a different perspective. Or if they're not going to give me 100%, I'm still going to give 100%. I'm still going to give my all. So, yeah.
I was going to say, talking about your mob, who is your mob and where did you come from? And I guess, like, where did you come from? Where did you come from? That really sounded like real Aussie, hey?
Yeah, but because it's who's your mob, where you from? You know, where you come from? It's because I think like a lot of like white people say, where do you come from? But we say, where you from?
Exactly. Let me do that again. That just, So who's your mob, where you're from, and then also, I guess, how you got into music?
I'm from a place in southwest Sydney called the Area. Well, that's what it's known by, but I'm from Campbelltown, which is where I was born and raised.
Known for drive-bys, not drive-throughs.
Yeah, literally. If you don't really know much about Western Sydney, it's like a low, like, socio-economic area. A lot of people, like, their families have moved there from other countries, so it's, like, very like ethnic and like there's a lot of culture, very multicultural, that's the correct word, and it is a really awesome place. Like there's so much culture there and it really like shaped me as a person, I would say. So my mob is Kamilaroi, my dad's Kamilaroi, and my mom is Samoan, so she's from the islands and she's from this island called Savai'i and there's a village called Salilalonga, so yeah.
Beautiful. Can you speak, what's the Samoan? Is it language?
Yeah, Samoan. I can speak like swear words.
Like us. Like what can you say in like
I can say all the bad words, but I can't say that around my aunties and stuff. But
I love like the Samoan and Māori and Polynesian like culture. Like I just feel like there is some part of me that I feel like I like once in a past life was a part of
connected to.
I don't know why, because when I was playing rugby with the girls and they're mostly like all Māori girls and Samoan girls, like their food and like their language, like I'd be like, I want to be a part of this so much.
I feel like islanders are like really similar to mob,
especially humor.
Like growing up, I kind of feel like my culture was like really similar on both sides. It was just like kind of a little bit different, but the values of like family and community were always like the same. So
and the singing and dancing,
exactly. It's like the same vibe. So
and family, like I remember growing up in Claymore, and there was a lot of like Samoan and Islander families who lived in Claymore, and so you know it was a real mix of like blackfellas and islanders, and it was like we were one in the same, you know, like our humor was the same, the whole family values were the same. I remember these two they were two Samoan boys who lived down the road. They were about 10 years older than me, but they just got their license, you know, and they used to take us around. Do you remember the Nissan Skylines back in the day?
Oh yeah,
like the pimped out rides, and like they had the lights under their cars, like lowered the Nissan Skyline, and they used to just take us boys like just for cruises around Claymore. I thought that was like the best thing in the world. You know what I mean?
Do like manies and like listen to music with the windows down.
Hey, I pulled up to my year 6 formal in a Skyline. I thought I was like the sickest.
Slay. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. But let's keep talking about your music because a lot of islanders can fucking sing. You know what I mean? Like they
it's
got
like in their blood.
voice from
Yeah.
heaven or something. It's just like
Happy people.
everyone sounds like Stan Walker. It's like amazing. You know what I mean?
No, literally, because when I went back to Samoa like about 2 weeks ago, I went to this karaoke, and tell me why I was so scared to sing. And I'm a singer, and I'm like, right, why is everyone in here just like exactly sounding like Stan Walker on some crazy like Beyonce like vocal runs and everything?
You never go up against like a Pacific Islander or a Filipino.
They love their karaoke.
so good
Hey.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I just recently learnt that.
But
That's fun.
you sort of broke out into the scene back in 2017. You know, you won Triple J's Unearthed Artist. From that moment to now, like, what have been some of the highlights for you? I know you've ticked off a lot of things on the bucket list, but recently, 80,000 people in a stadium. What?
Oh my God,
That's
yes.
crazy.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, I feel like I've been working and like chipping away for a long time. I feel like you've seen Maddie, like you've been kind of like witness since like
Totally.
the early days, like when we first met. But yeah, like I guess I didn't actually answer your question, Brooke, earlier about like how I got into music, but I started off with Triple J on Earth. I like won this little competition, and then it's kind of just been like history since then. And like I guess the most recent things that have happened now that have been like the craziest things is opening for one of my favorite artists, Mahalia, and then getting brought out by Coldplay, which is crazy.
Crazy.
To 80,000 people. That's like probably the craziest thing, and I feel like that will still be like the craziest thing I've ever done. I just did my first ARIA performance like last week,
That
which
was
crazy.
amazing. Can I just say that you and Budge on that stage,
know.
like absolute fire. Your voices
Thank
blended
you.
so beautifully. Like, tell us about that moment when you're looking out into the audience. You're seeing everyone in the industry who you sort of, you know, look up to or love and respect. Are you having that sort of euphoric moment that you described earlier, or are you shitting yourself?
Literally
I've been
having a heart attack on stage.
Yeah.
The whole like lead up to that. So I found out about that performance like the week before. Cyril's team basically reached out and was like, "Oh yeah, like we're performing this. Would love to have you and Budra." And I was like, "Of course, I'd love to come." And then when we got to rehearsals, like, you know, Budra is not going to play with the vocals. And I'm like, damn, I need to step it up. I need to like get practicing. And then like, you know, like we really went into it, and like going into like that kind of performance is so different. It's like just 3 minutes, just something so quick, and you practice so much for it. And then like you just in that space. I honestly felt like it was a blur. I walked off stage and I was like, oh, it's done. Like I don't know. Like I felt like I wasn't even there.
I felt like you're really free up there. You might look like you're shitting yourself, but you were moving. You look like you were like having a moment. So
What do you mean by playing with the vocals? Sorry, that
As
might be
in,
a silly question.
he's
but,
just like fire
He's just, you
vocalist.
know, he's not going to mess around. He's going to come in and like
got
absolutely
you.
smash
and he's
it.
probably going to do
Yeah.
some massive riff that's going to fucking like tear off the roof. You know what
Yeah.
Oh
I mean?
yeah,
Like,
we
He's just
remember we
locked
saw him
in.
in LA.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense to me now. Sorry, I'm like not a muso, but like getting up with the lingo.
Here
you
I am,
know?
like, I know what it means.
Yeah, no, I was like, fuck, yeah. Coldplay.
Coldplay,
Yes.
yeah.
Is that the biggest crowd that you've ever played
Yeah,
in front of?
80,000.
80,000.
Like, that's a
Yeah.
stadium.
That's fucked.
She's like, no, I've done like 150,000 before.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I still feel like it hasn't even like happened. It's something I feel like it's going to take me a little bit of time to be like, I'm going to look
80.
back at it and be like, oh, that's actually crazy. It definitely feels like, yeah, I don't know, very insane or like a dream right now.
Yeah.
So I still feel like I'm processing it. But how that came about was basically I was getting ready for the ARIAs. I was in Sydney, so I was just like starting to do some fittings and stuff, and I was actually running late to a fitting and I had to drive to Wollongong. So I was like in the car, my mum was driving me while I was like doing emails and stuff, and I got this call from my team basically being like, I don't even know how to tell you this, but basically Coldplay bring up an artist in every city, and they really want to see your verse on this song. So they have the song called We Pray with Little Sims and Burna Boy. Yeah, Little Sims kills it, but they get someone to like rewrite Little Sims' verse in like their own way. They were like, yeah, so I don't know how to tell you this, but like they have this, and the team really want to see your verse for it. But like we kind of need it like in the next 30 minutes. And I was like,
Oh my God.
okay. So I'm already late and my mom's driving and I start turning the track on. I'm like writing this song like in the car, freaking out.
No.
So yeah, we're sorting out this verse. I do the fitting. I get back in the car. I finish writing the rest of the verse. we pull up to my house. My mum gets out the car and I put the camera down and I filmed the audition for that, which was so like, and I'm like the kind of person I hate filming, like put the camera down and talk to the camera. It's just like, I just find it, for me personally, like sometimes I feel awkward. Like that's awkward. Just for me personally, I just like, I don't know what it is, but like...
You let your art speak for you.
Yeah, like I know what it is, but like when I do it, I'm like, oh my God, this is so awkward for me. But so I put it down, I like shoot this little interview kind of like audition thing, and I like sing the verse and send it over. And then I'm like, okay, well, like it's Friday, I'll just let it like do its thing and I'll find out on Monday. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like I just couldn't stop thinking about it. But I was like, I really hate when I like put my hopes up high and like, you know what I mean? I would rather just like put it out in the universe. And like I've kind of feel like with a lot of things, like being in the industry and like going for a lot of jobs and stuff, it's like I've become now the person that's like, whatever energy I put out, like whatever's meant to be for me is for me, and like I will let it come to me, and like I won't be upset if it doesn't happen. Like there's a plan for me, and like the universe, you know, will let it happen.
Don't chase, I attract vibes.
Exactly. Yeah, I attract. Yes. I just put out like, just keep doing me and like keep putting out positive energy. So I just like let go of it, even though like inside I was like dying. And then I got a call on Monday from my management, and they were like, oh, Coldplay's team wants to meet with us, so we'll just see how it goes. So I was like, freaking out.
Wow.
And then, it got confirmed. And they called me back and they were like, yeah, it's locked in for the 2 Sydney dates. So there's
and
actually
to have
4,
both like 2 nights, you know, not just one, that is epic. Like it's almost like you get to do it and then do it again, live the moment twice.
It was insane. And like, as soon as I got that call, I started bawling my eyes out. I was crying, like ugly crying. I FaceTimed my mom, and my mom was crying, and like, it was probably the most I've cried in like, I don't know. And I think for me, like, it was a real like validating moment, because like earlier this year I was like, I don't even know if I want to be doing music anymore, and like so like having like something like that happen was like the craziest thing for me. So
isn't that like that's an amazing story? But then thinking that earlier this year you didn't feel like you were like wanting to do music, and then seeing the year that you've had, like, isn't that just like one of those moments where it's like a fork in the road, and it's like it depends on what path you take, and it's like there might be this really hard decision, but once you get past that challenge or that mindset, then all this success came. You know what I mean? So
I really like those moments. I think it's you know, and you said about, you know, those little shows that you had, and like, you know, you weren't maybe getting the response that you would hope for, like doing your music. I think like all of those little bricks in the pavement just like move towards where you're gonna go, and like these big moments that you have.
100%.
And I feel like this is just the start for you, like in a sense, like, you know what I mean?
And like, I mean, like at your age and at your level in your career, you've already had Timbaland recognize you, give you the thumbs up for your song, you know, and it was Timbaland, right?
Yeah.
And then Coldplay, the biggest band in the world, collaborate with you. So, like, if that isn't some sort of, like, sign from the universe being 100. Like, girl, you're on the right path. I don't know what the fuck is, because there's some big names.
You just be skipping along, like, where I'm going. What is on your, like, manifestation list?
I am really hoping that over the next year I get to go to Europe or the UK. I'd like love to make dance music over there. There's a lot of people I want to work with. Like, an absolute dream would be like to make a song with someone like Kitchenada. I feel like that would be like
they're my favorite.
Game over for me personally. But yeah, like I would love to go overseas and just like write music and like really like expand my horizons in a way. So I guess like that's a goal for me next.
A lot of artists, like blackfella artists in particular, I find that there needs to be a sacrifice that is made, right? Well, any artist, but we are so connected to family, we're so connected to community. To take that leap of faith to go international, not a lot of people do it, because it's like starting from almost ground zero again, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you're on your trajectory here and you're on your way up, and then to have like to go and start something again in a new climate.
Because I get homesick.
It's
I don't know
really
about you.
difficult, you know. But you see how much the reward can be if you take that risk. You just have to think of the Kid Leroy. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, yeah.
So it's like it is a risk, but it's also like if this is meant for you, it'll happen. You know?
Yeah. 100%.
I know Europe is where the dance music's at, but have you ever thought of like an LA trip? Have you ever written in LA? Would you ever consider that?
I've written in LA like back when I was like 18, but it's been a while since like I've gone back there. So yeah, I kind of feel
Girl,
like
I'll come with you. Like,
yeah, let's
if
go.
you want to go.
Yeah, let's go. It sounds good. Let's plan it.
You and I, let's go. I'll just be a tour manager.
Yeah, that would be an amazing trip.
I'm
Us
actually
three in
hiring
LA.
right now.
Wait, for real. Like, I freaking I'd be a bulldog. Like, I'd be the best little, like,
You know,
minion,
like that's
running
actually
around.
what you need. Like, I swear, being a female in this industry and especially touring, that shit is so exhausting. Like playing shows and like having sound people not like talk to you properly because like it's just you and a DJ and you're like a woman and they're like, oh, you don't understand what's going on. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we
I
need
that
like
shit.
strong tour managers and like especially like strong female tour managers. For instance, like doing things like a support slot at like the Forum and more. It's like a lot of the time they're not like paying crazy well for those like
Yeah.
positions because they're like
Yeah.
a lot of exposure. Yeah. And you take those spots because it's like that is like such a good look and like such a massive audience that you like get to perform to, and like it actually is like a really positive thing. But yeah, like but when it's just like me and like my DJ who's also like another brown woman and we're just like woo vibing, most of the runs I've been on since like maybe 2021, I've definitely had at least one person kind of be like have a little moment because like or like not talk to us properly, dismiss us, or like maybe like it's like so normal and like you talk to any other woman in the industry and you're like they have the same experience. So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
That is crazy. But what I want to ask you about is that you just spoke about the support act, touring with a support act. You've just announced another leg of supporting a massive artist. This has to be a big, like, brain fucking explosion moment for you. Like, Tinashe.
I've been a nasty girl.
I know. Can we play this?
Like, come on, that's a name to support. Like just so you know, she was the first artist I ever saw live, like when I was young. So she came and did a Nova's Red Room, and I won tickets on the radio.
Fuck yeah.
Nova, here at Nova.
That's crazy.
And now I'm back.
Full circle.
But I loved her song "2 On." Like for me, that was like
Is that
everything
I love
to get. Yes.
Yeah.
But
And
she brings the
Snake
vibe.
Hit
So
song too.
I feel like you're similar in terms of like your beautiful like vocal energy and even melody to
you.
Tinashe. So it's not like she's different from you. So the audience,
I feel like stage presence as well.
Yeah.
Like when I saw you perform in that show, like I was
totally
like,
giving
this-
Tinashe energy.
It was
giving Tinashe energy.
No, it really was, and I don't want
Yes.
to blow smoke. Like you know how people like blow makeup your ass,
Yeah.
but like no, like
Totally.
it was for real. Like I was like,
Thank you.
So is that the energy you'd be bringing to the tour?
Yes, I'm so excited for that show.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
when I tell you that week was like insane when I found out about that because it was like I played the Coldplay show.
Yeah.
I like went to Samoa. I got the call about Tinashe the next day after the Coldplay show, and then I got the call after that for the ARIA performance, and I honestly felt like I had a heart attack. I was like, "What is going on?"
This is too much.
that's no wonder you haven't like processed.
Yeah.
because you.
I've been too locked in. I was about to sing "I Love Again." I was like, "How do I make it work?" Oh no, it doesn't go.
Oh my god, I love that. Well, let's get to talking about Mob Music Day.
Yes.
You know, it's an incredible initiative as part of Oz Music Day, and it is championed by the one and only Nookie. But you're one
Shout
of the
out, Nookie.
artists who will be, you know, one of the ambassadors this year. So
Yes.
it's an amazing thing that we have our own day. You know, it's an important thing, and it also is important that the money and profits filter down to First Nations organisations and musicians. What does it mean for you to be a part of this day?
Well, like, first of all, the work that Support Act are doing is, like, so important. And especially, like, having a day like this that goes towards mob that are struggling, it's so, so important. And, like, you know, it doesn't just support artists, it supports everyone that works in the industry, people who are, like, doing sound, you know, people who are tour managers. And, you know, I guess those people actually, like, in my opinion, I feel like they get overlooked, the work that they do. And it's so important. Like, if it wasn't for them, you know, festivals wouldn't happen, the shows wouldn't be running, you know, like,
They're like
so
the backbone of like
yeah,
the industry.
there's so many
Yeah.
people that, like, I guess like if you're just someone who comes to a show, like you don't realize how much work goes into this. And like for me, like personally, it's like my project is just like, it's not just me. Like there's a whole community of people who like really work hard and like make everything happen. And to have, you know, support act and like, you know, Oz Music T-shirt Day and Mob Music T-shirt Day, you know, like put that money back into like that community. Like it's so important and really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. We know Oz Music T-shirt Day has been going for a few years.
Yeah, I've participated in the Oz one, but I always wear a blackfellow artist anyways.
But now,
like last year, I think I did. Like last 2 years, I've done King Stingray. Like,
Yeah.
I
love
those
them.
mobs. Yeah,
they're so
good.
talented. Yeah.
I know.
but there's a now T-shirt with so many different faces on it, you know, representing mob. Where can people buy that shirt so that they can donate to this cause?
So they can go on the Support Act website, and I'm pretty sure the Support Act website or like the Oz Music T-shirt Day website has like everything, and it also has more information on Mob Music T-shirt Day specifically, and where you can also buy that top as well. So yeah.
Sick.
Well, speaking of mobbing music, obviously the ARIAs were just last week. What did it feel like for you as, you know, First Nations artist? You've been in the game now for, you know, a few years. You've seen a shift. You've been to the ARIAs before, but this year it felt different, right? It felt like there were so many, not just nominees, winners and performers.
Yeah. It was
a
blacked
proper
out.
blackout, eh? Yes.
It was so good. No, it felt awesome. And like, it was so funny. Like I walked onto the carpet and I started doing my interviews, and then like I turn around, I see Nookie and his whole entourage, and I was like, why did I get one of those? Like, what the hell? But it was
Coming out of the van?
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? I see Isaac Compton. I'm like, hey, what are you doing here?
Yeah, big ol'.
Literally. But it was like, yeah, it was so awesome. Like just to be surrounded by so many mob, and like, I don't know, like I guess for me, it's like, anyone who's like watching this happen, it's like, well, if you have the thought that maybe we've gotten here because we're black or because we're using that, it's actually crazy because like most of the mob who are actually making music, or all of the mob, actually are like top of their fields. Like you see Romara, you see like Emma Donovan, like they're actually nowhere near just like average. They're like above and beyond, like talented.
Black excellence.
Like
They're
Dobby.
black excellence at Dobby. You see everyone like putting in the work, and it's like, yeah, it's not because we're black, it's because we're actually good. We're actually good at what we do, and we're like actually better than average. So yeah.
This might be like way too sentimental, but I like love this so much because, you know, like most of our get-togethers are like usually based off sad things, you know, like our reunions are usually like funerals, right? And that for me, like even just how many mob were on the red carpet was like, oh my God, like these are the moments we should be celebrating so hard and so much, because they're like reunions per se, like we're getting together, but it's not a fucking funeral, like and I get excited. I don't get to go to these events much, like, you know, I've done
Next year, you'll be there.
I have no musical ability. I'm just there for like
think I
a
can
good
sing?
time. Yeah. But you know, like I go to a few red carpets, and it's always the mob that like find one another and connect, or I'll find another Perth person, like another Noongar, like
100%.
and it's so.
Create safety.
Yes, that's
Safety
it.
numbers.
It's cultural
It's
safety.
so funny you say
It's
that. Like when I was walking on the carpet, for me, like I already get like social anxiety in like spaces like that. It's very full on. It's like you're giving a lot of energy and also receiving a lot of energy. So it's like just constantly things going on, and
Stimulated
yeah,
as fuck.
I was like so overstimulated. And I remember like, and I'm sometimes the kind of person that like can't hide it on my face too. So I'm like, I'm like walking through, and I remember I saw Emma Donovan, and I looked over at her, and she looked at me and she goes, "Oh, you okay, sis? Like, is everything okay?" And I was like, "Oh, actually, like, made me feel so much more safe." And like, I was like, "No, everything's okay." And she like the way she comforted me, it was like, yeah, it made me feel like really safe.
She knew as well, because you know what, she's
tell.
probably been there.
100%. Yeah, I think she like, we definitely had this connection when we looked at each other, and it was like, no, it's all good. And it was
It's
kind
like
of like,
imposter syndrome. Hey, like
Yeah.
100%.
it's
But
crazy.
also, like if you're a part of a label, as much as like they're helping you before and supporting you to get ready and stuff, it still is a really white dominated space.
Look at the Acras when we went.
Yeah, totally.
Me, you, and Baker Boy were probably the only black fellas like in that room.
Hey,
yeah,
Baker
yeah.
Boy representing.
Oh, yeah.
And
It
can I
was so
just drop
deadly.
this? Like, this is a mic drop moment. The Baker Boy was not invited to the fucking ARIAs this year.
That's crazy.
Is that insane?
Why?
That's insane.
So he wins 5 last year, 5 ARIAs, and then not invited. And I said to him, just pull up in the G-Wagon and play that song like King.
What
Like,
do you mean? We need to protest about
So,
this.
I think it does come down to allocations, but I think that's an incredible artist that needs to be there, even when he's not being recognised for an award or nominated. He still is a
Has
strong
presence.
part of this industry.
Yeah, he's alumni, like in a way.
He's a fucking ARIA.
Yeah.
I think he's won 7 ARIAs or something. Like he's
7
crazy.
ARIAs is crazy.
is crazy.
Politics, and I feel like you probably
Yeah.
deal with this, and I guess you touched on it too, Becca. Like the politics in the industry, and especially like being a woman, like you have to go up against
black
like
woman,
a
I bet.
black woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like. Fuck me, you have to go up against way more like obstacles, and you gotta fucking jump through this hoop
Yeah.
and like climb that fucking thing. It's so
Yeah.
annoying.
It's like you can't just be good. You have to be like better than average and
Extraordinary.
extremely good.
It's getting to the end of the year.
yeah.
So what's your plans for like, what do? You got big family time, end of year
Yeah.
for Christmas, or what do you do?
I usually go back to Campbelltown for Christmas.
Slay.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I feel like I
Campbelltown
haven't
Mall,
even like
Christmas photo,
me and Santa sitting on Santa's lap. Nah,
Koshigai Park.
I've been a nasty girl.
yeah, me and Santa gonna go film some TikToks that I've
Oh,
been
God.
nasty girl. No, yeah, I don't know. Like it feels like I don't know, but Christmas feels so far away to me. Like
Always
still,
proper.
like I'm like, there's
it's
so
been
much
done for
work.
me.
Like I can't even like. I feel like Christmas. I'm like, when is that? That feels like
Yeah.
next year.
But you get a break or what?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I got to spend some time with my family and my nieces, and yeah, it's so important to be around family. Like they really keep you grounded, especially my family. They always just make fun of me. My
Keep
family,
you humble.
they keep me humble.
Actually.
It's so funny because like my siblings, like my brother's a doctor, and then my sister, she's a lawyer, and then like when I complain about work, I'm like, oh, it's such a long day. And they're like,
isn't
oh
that
yeah,
funny?
is it really? Just all you did was go make music at the studio.
Oh, you know what? Like,
Guys, I swear, I actually
isn't
have a
that
job.
just hilarious? Like a doctor and a lawyer, like the two professions that everyone wants you to be, and then it's like the creative artist over here.
I know. Like, and you get
Guys.
shamed for it. You're like, oh,
Oh, that's
They're
mob
like,
for you
"Oh,
though.
did
That
you
is
have a
mob
hard
for
day?"
you.
Aw.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, you
like,
can't
"Well."
complain. I have my family say, "Oh, what? Yeah, standing in the studio lights for too long." It's like,
oh.
They say,
Far
yeah,
out.
that exact kind of stuff is what I'd be
Yeah,
confident about.
yeah.
Bless them.
Oh. But
Becca, can I ask you like a personal question? What would you say to like your 15-year-old self who was like had those little aspirations and now you're killing it?
Yeah, I feel like I've kind of like gone through this kind of like these thoughts recently actually because I've been working with someone really awesome. Her name is Prinny Stevens. Yeah, I don't know if
Icon.
you guys know her, but she's
Love her.
an icon, Tongan icon. And like working with her and like I know that like I have like a very soft voice when I sing sometimes, and we've been like doing vocal coaching and like kind of working through a lot of different things like, being able to belt and chest and like turning like things like my head voice into being less airy into something that's a lot stronger and can like hold its own. And like, yeah, I guess as a vocalist and as like a brown woman, I guess people always have been like to me, we need you to belt, like they want me to sing ballads like, like Whitney or like Beyonce.
Yeah.
And like, I guess me being me, like that's not really who I am as like an artist. And I've always found it really hard to like, I don't know, not conform.
to that, yeah.
And I've always like been like, no, but this isn't who I am. And when you have a lot of people kind of like trying to encourage you to do that or be something maybe you're not, it's really hard to like stand up against that, especially being like 15 years old. And me and Prinny were talking about this because I guess she's gone through a very similar journey, and like even now, like I feel like I'm still learning and like only kind of just like getting a thicker skin and being able to like really stand up and be like, no, this is what I want to do. Like, I'm sorry, no, but it's my decision.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess like if I could talk to my 15-year-old self, it would be to like not be afraid to be who you are, and you know, like let your light shine, and like, you know, what you're doing is awesome, and like it, even though like you might feel like people might be better than you or there's a better way to do things, like just to trust yourself. So that's what I would say to myself.
Perfect message. Yeah.
Oh, well, we've loved having you on. Thank you so much,
No,
Becca.
thanks for having me.
For all the listeners out there, you can grab a Mob Music t-shirt at ozmusictshirtday.org.au. Make sure you get on there and support this incredible campaign. And also check out Becca's, you know, incredible music, but also where can they find you on socials?
You can find me at Becca X Hatch. Someone took Becca Hatch, so Becca X Hatch it is on Instagram.
Kind of like a
and-
kiss in the middle.
Yeah, little
Yes.
kiss, yeah.
Becca, Hatch. Well, thank you so much. That's all we have time for today. So thanks for listening to First Things First. If you love what you hear, leave us a rating and a little review.
And if you want us to cover anything else on the pod, reach out via our socials. Obviously, you can find Becca at Becca X Hatch, and my handle is at Brooke Dubleton, and Maddie's handle is at It's Maddie Mills, and we'll speak to you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.